Well, I'm going to say the most important thing before you get started in Dreamweaver is defining your site. Ooh, very mysterious, but very important. So let's get started with it. What's going to happen is I have Dreamweaver open here, and I've got a blank page, and I've opened my Files panel. I'll close it and reopen it so you can see what I'm doing. I go Window, Files, and here I can see my Files panel. And if you're just starting Dreamweaver from scratch, your Files panel, one of the most important panels in Dreamweaver, shows you all of the files that Dreamweaver thinks that you are working with right now. And by default, whether you're on a PC or a Mac, it's going to show you all of your files and folders in your computer. The stuff on your desktop, the stuff in your documents folder, everything you really don't want Dreamweaver to think is your website. So what we have to do is we have to tell Dreamweaver where everything is. And I have a folder on my desktop, and I've given it a name, and I'm just going to put my files in there, my images in there, and I've created a files folder, an images folder, and now I'm going to tell Dreamweaver where all that stuff is. So I go to the Site drop-down menu, and then I go to New Site. I'm going to make a brand new site. So I click that little doohickey, and it says, Bill, what do you want to name your site? Now here, throughout these titles, I'll be telling you never use spaces, always use underscores, or never ever use any weird characters in your titles. But here where it says site name, you can type anything that you want. And I'm going to call this Just for This Video. You know, if you're doing this for Acne Insurance or Coca-Cola Magazine, then you could name it that. Doesn't matter. Now, an important thing right here, this is very important. Where are your goodies? If I made this software, I would call this local site folder. I would say, where are your goodies right here? And I come over here, I'm going to double click this folder, and I'm going to navigate to the desktop, and I have a folder on the desktop. Let's see, we don't want that. And this is going the wrong way on the desktop. Here we go, Dreamweaver Video 2014. I'm going to select that folder, and down here in my Files panel, you'll see a Choose button. I believe on the PC it says Select. So Choose or Select, click that, and now it's going to that folder to find my stuff. I click Save. Now I'm going to drag this over here. Look at my Files panel now where it says Local Files, and it's got all this stuff on my desktop there. I'm going to click Save. And it's just saying, hey, we're going to do this. Proceed anyway? Yeah, okay. So I say okay, and now look at my Files panel. The Files panel is kind of cool because we can open it up. We can see the dates on these files and stuff, and I can't see the whole name, so I can come up here and drag this open so I can see the full file names of everything that is in my newly developed site. Okay, so I'm good to go. I'm organized. The beautiful thing about the Files panel is up here it says just for this video. We can't see the rest. But you can define as many sites as you're interested in working on. If you're a web developer, as I am many times, or I'm working with my clients that are students and I'm teaching them things, I define a site for every client that I work in, and they send me files, and I can organize their files on my hard drive. So if I click here, I can see all of my various defined sites, and I can click on any one that I want to, and it'll show me all of their files or folders over here in the Files panel. So once you define a site, you're not limited to just working in that one site. You can go from site to site to site to site to site. Now, I've defined the site, but once I work on things and I have new text, new images, new HTML documents, new PHP documents, whatever, at some point I'm going to want to connect to the server and upload my information. And to do this, I could have done this when I said site new site, but you can always go in and edit your site definition by going to Site, Manage Sites. Site, Manage Sites, and it will list all of the sites that you're working with, and you can select any one of these, but to go into a site definition, here's just for this video, I double click that, and we're back to where we were before. I mean, I could rename my site definition. I could, at any time, I can redirect the folder selection. I could put whatever folder on the fly. But what I want to share with you now is this thing over here called Servers. I click Servers, and now Dreamweaver wants to know, hey, what server do you want to use? And, you know, it's going to change from your project. Maybe you only work on your site, but if you work on many people's sites, you might be using Bluehost, Hostway, GoDaddy. Who knows? There are a billion places where you will upload your files so people can see them on the internet. So at this point, you come down here to the plus sign, and here you go. This information here is extremely important because it varies from server to server to server what you put in these 4 boxes. GoDaddy has certain information that they want. Hostway has certain information that they want. So if you're new to this, or for me, I've been doing it for years, and I run into new servers, and they want these 4 boxes filled out in different ways. So I've got server name, FTP address, username, and password. And what you want to do is you want to fill those in, and then this test button will become active. And what you want to do is fill in the information that you have from the server or from your client, and then click this test button. And if everything is right, then a little window will pop up, and it will say that you have successfully connected to the server. If everything is not right, you'll get an error message saying that you're not connected to the server. So I call this the 30-minute annoyance that can turn into a 48-hour nightmare. So I suggest that if you have any problems and you click the test button and you cannot connect to the server, I would call technical support. I would have this window open right here, the way that I got here. And then you say, hey, I'm in Dreamweaver, whatever version, and they want to know, I'm trying to connect to the server, and they want to know server name, FTP address, username, and password. And don't let them off the phone until you click test, and it says you have successfully connected to the server. So for now, I'm going to cancel out of this, and I'm just going to cancel here, and then I'm just going to click done, and that takes me back out. Just to show you what this thing really does and how important it is, I'm going to go down here and select my site. And that's going to load up with all of my files and everything. And the reason this place is so important, the Files panel, is, notice up here it says Local Files, Local View. That means I'm looking at this on my computer. I'm seeing all the files on my computer. But what if I make some changes in a file, add some images, add a video? Well, then I need to connect to the server to be able to do that. So if I click this little thingy right up here, well, golly gee whiz, Jethro, looky here. I've got a whole nother panel and it says Remote Server. So I can see the local files on my computer. Here's my remote server. And if I come over here and click these two little gray plugs right here, well, shazam! I'm retrieving my server information, and here's all the stuff on sillybilly.com over here. So let's say I've got a file over here called CSS Tutor. If I made some changes to that, all I do is I select it, and I just drag it, literally drag it. I'll do it. I drag it right over here to the server, and it says, hey, Bill, do you want to include dependent files? Well, if I say yes, that's going to include any external CSS documents, any external JavaScript script documents, any images that are in there. But maybe I just changed a name and so was promoted from janitor to vice president, and all that was text in the document. Well, then I just click no. So anyway, so that will upload to the server. I can open a browser and see the changes that I've made immediately. Now, on the other hand, some people, if I have my files selected, I can use this thing to upload to the server. And if I click that, the same thing will happen. I click this, select the file, upload to the server. It says, do you want to include dependent files? Yes, I want to send all of my images and other documents up. No, I just made some code changes. In this situation, I'm just going to click cancel. Okay. Now, on the other hand, sometimes maybe you're at the coffee shop working on your website, you're at the library working on your website. So, and you're on a public machine. I don't know what your situation is, but maybe you can connect to the server, but you don't have these files on the computer that you're working on. So I can come over here, select a file, and conversely, I can just drag this from the server over here to the local side. And again, it will ask me, do I want to include dependent files? Yes or no. That's up to you. You will work, if you're a web designer, you'll work for other people, and you'll have none of their files. But once you go to your client and you get all that information that I was talking about a couple of minutes ago, when you went to site, manage sites, and then you get their FTP login, their server name, their username, and their password, then in that situation, you define the site, your local files would be empty over here. And then I would just click this folder over here, my main folder right now. It's called Web. And if I click that and go here and click Download, well, what's going to happen is it's going to download all of the files from the remote server over here into my local folder that I defined on my computer. And then all of my client files are going to show up over here. So once we define a site, then Dreamweaver knows where all of our images are, all of our HTML documents, all of our CSS documents, and it knows how to connect to the server. And once we connect to the server, we can upload and download files. That's it in a nutshell. Always remember this little circular thing over here, because sometimes you'll be working on things, and I'm going to move this over here and move this out of the way. And here's the folder right here that has all of my web stuff in it. So I might go in here and add images just on my hard drive, or maybe add some flash or some videos and stick it in here. I know it's there, but sometimes Dreamweaver doesn't know that you did that stuff, and you're looking over here on your local side and you don't see the changes you've made on the folder on your computer. So many times you just have to click this little circle right here, and that will refresh the remote side and the local side. You'll be able to see everything that's going on. To get rid of the remote side, if I'm not uploading and downloading, I don't need to see the remote server. So I can click this little thing over here and it'll collapse. Now my files panel is back to normal. So that's the deal. Now, in another title in this series, sometimes you will work with PHP files, or you'll be editing WordPress themes, and then you have to connect to the PHP and the MySQL database. And that's a different story covered in a different title.